Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucia and this is Lulu's Leaves.
I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was.
Today we are going to be taking a little tour of my mom's house. She has lots of beautiful house plants, so I wanted to show you guys around. Since you guys saw this last, she has gotten rid of quite a bit of her plants, so she's definitely whittled down her collection to the ones that she really enjoys. So let's go on inside and take a look. But before we do, if you're not already subscribed, please hit that button down below, and if you enjoyed this video, you can also give it a huge thumbs up as well. But with that being said, guys, let's get straight on into today's tour.
Back again. Call my number, call my name. We both know I'm to blame.
Alright, so I thought we would start off this tour at the front of the house. This is directly when you walk in. First, she has this really beautiful Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. This is just one of two that she has. This is her smaller one. I actually gifted this to her a little while ago, and it's doing really well. She really wanted this plant, and it definitely wasn't my favorite, so I gave it to her, and it's doing much better in her care than it was in mine. So that makes me really happy, and it's got a little moss pole there. And then here, she has a Hoya nummularioides. These guys are super fun. If I could give this plant a common name, I would definitely call it the cardboard Hoya, because the leaves have a similar texture to cardboard and they're very thick and rigid, also like cardboard. But this one's growing quite a bit as well. We got this one together at Secret Garden. It was the first time she ever went to Secret Garden, and she kind of fell in love with this plant. So it's doing very well. And then she also has this Albosingonium. It's really, really pretty and has some really nice variegation. It had a full white leaf that she did not love, so she ended up cutting it off. This is the new kind of deformed new growth, but the next growth will definitely be fine. Sometimes when they come out of an inactivated bud, they come out a little bit funky, but it should definitely be fine going forward. But yeah, we got this one from Kim's Nature, and we split it up, and now I have the second part of this plant, and I also have my own, but it's very beautiful and doing well. This here is another plant that I gifted her, actually. This is a Rhipsalis. I don't know the exact species or name for it, but it's really, really pretty. It gets these little sugar-like crystals on the leaves. I think that is one there, I think. But it's growing really well too. She really loves the Rhipsalis and the trailing ones at that. So I thought that I would give it to her because she would appreciate it a little bit more than I do. And it's in a really, really cute cactus pot too. Then next up is her giant Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. This one was over in the living room, but with Christmas and all of the decorations, she did have to move it. There was just too much in there. So it's now getting some really nice light at the front of the house. I believe that this window is a north-facing window, or possibly northwest, but it still gets a really, really nice amount of light. It's just a little bit more diffused, but this is super healthy, and some of the leaves even have secondary fenestrations. Let me see if I can find another. This one here has a little hole there, but the leaves are quite mature, and it's also doing really, really well. Then she has this massive Hoya Wyetii that just sits in this nice brass pot. I think it's such a cute combination. But this is an 8-inch pot of the Wyetii, and it is finally growing. This guy was pretty stagnant for a while, but you can see these more purpley new growths. That's definitely a good sign for this plant. It shows that it's happy. But yeah, that one is doing super well and trailing a lot. And then this was actually my mom's, I wouldn't say, it's definitely not her first propagation, but one of her more successful propagations for sure. This is a philodendron micans. It originally was just 2 leaves, maybe even 1 leaf, and now it has grown at least 3 more leaves, so that's really, really nice. And I'm sure she will end up chopping this and planting it back in there eventually, just to fill it up a little bit more. But that guy's just sitting over here too. Then over in this kind of darker corner, but still there's a window here, so it's getting light. There's this beautiful large ZZ plant. This guy is definitely thriving. It really doesn't need much at all. It barely ever gets watered, and it's still growing, so that's awesome. The ZZ plant was definitely one of my mom's original favorites, which is nice. It definitely helped her get into houseplants, but I don't think this is her favorite now. It kind of just gets neglected, which is fine. They're allowed to get neglected in this corner. These plants actually thrive on neglect. So yeah. Then over here, she has this Hoya carnosa. It just has some hard water on it. It definitely went through a little bit of a rehab period, but it's doing well again, which is really nice to see. It's putting out some crazy long tendrils here, but it hasn't done a ton since we got it. It's been pretty stagnant in growth, but Hoyas are pretty prone to that. Sometimes you can bring them home and they'll sit and do nothing for months. So as long as this isn't dying, I'm not super concerned about it. But yeah, it's really pretty still. Then over in this corner, which is getting a ton of light, is this beautiful Boston fern. This guy was actually really, really tiny, but it really has grown a ton. It was a really small fern before, and now it is getting really large. So ferns really seem to like my mom, and she likes them too. So that's a good relationship they've got going on there. This is actually a southern window. It's a really gloomy day today, so it's not as bright as it usually is, but I'll show you what she has just on this windowsill here. So I'm gonna skip a few of these plants because they're actually gifts. But here is our Monstera albo. I will say hers. She keeps it here. As much as I'd like to say it's both of ours, I think she's taken ownership of it, but it's doing really, really well, and I'm actually proud of her for taking care of this plant because it's not super easy. These are really prone to root rot, and she has not been overwatering it, so that's good. And it was just a single leaf cutting. That's the last time you guys saw it. And now it has this brand new leaf that's super beautiful. And there's also a brand new one on the way, which is really, really exciting. Yeah, you can see there, it's just poking out. So we'll definitely have a new leaf soon. And the spot that it's coming out of has quite a bit of white there, so we're hoping for a nicely variegated leaf. But we'll love it no matter what. Then over here is my mom's pride and joy. This is her philodendron micans. This is definitely my mom's favorite plant, I would say, or at least her favorite common house plant. She's really, really good at taking care of these guys, so they do thrive when they're in here. The light that she's able to give them is really nice too, so that definitely plays a part in how well this guy grows. It was just a tiny 4-inch pot to begin with. This guy here is a little bit sad, but I think I might repot it because it's in a pretty airy mix. It barely has any soil, to be honest, so I'll probably repot this one for her into something a little bit more water retentive, but this is her philodendron silver stripe. It also probably just needs a little bit of water. but still a really beautiful plant. So this here is a sedum. I'm not exactly sure what kind, but it's definitely a type of succulent, and it's trailing a ton. This is a really, really beautiful plant, and it gets really nice and sun stressed. It gets a really nice purple tone to it, but most of the new growth on here is green, probably because these aren't greenhouse conditions, even though it does get a lot of light. But still, it's really pretty. And then over here, there is a string of turtles. I think she has 2 of these, and it's just in this really cute blue pot that I think she made, or she at least painted this. But it's a really pretty plant, and it does seem to be growing. This does seem like a plant that does really well in her care as well. And then over here, she just has some philodendron heteroecium cuttings, just chilling in water. They could probably be potted up, but they don't need to be. So they'll probably just stay in water for a little bit longer. Then here we have basically her prized possession. This is my mom's favorite plant, I think. And this is the philodendron Florida Ghost. You can see it has a beautiful new white leaf here. It's really, really nice, and I'm sure this will continue to grow as it hardens off. But it was a 3-leaf plant, and now it's since put out this beautiful leaf in her care, and then also this leaf here. So definitely that is one of her favorite plants. This is a good spot for it too. It's getting lots of natural light. She's got some chocolate out for display. Then over here she has this Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen. This is honestly the most beautiful Crimson Queen I've ever seen. Hers just looks very, very beautiful. It gets these nice clusters of leaves, and they come in really nice and pink too, but just the tone of the green in it and the amount of white is really, really nice. It's a really good balanced plant. But I haven't seen these guys put out clusters like this before. This comes out as 4 leaves. Usually that would just be 2. Then here we have another one of her favorite plants. This is the Philodendron squamiferum. It just had this 1 leaf when we got it. This one is from Rice Road, and it put out this 2nd leaf, which is really beautiful. It's actually a perfect leaf, and it has a really nice hairy petiole, which is a distinguishing factor for this plant, or a distinguishing characteristic. But it also has a great new leaf on the way there, so sooner rather than later this plant will be a 3-leafer. Then over here she's got this wonderful Hoya pubicalyx. This one is also from Secret Garden. It is doing really, really well. I'm not sure that it's grown a ton, but again, with Hoyas, that's pretty common. It does take a little bit of time for them to start shooting out new growth. I also find that if they are more established plants, it takes even longer for some reason. You would think it's the other way around, but any large Hoya that I have never grows. So it's still really, really beautiful, and we bought it at a nice size. So it doesn't really need to do anything. It's already really pretty. Then over here she has a dragon fruit cactus, which is probably a little bit neglected. I think that's why it's a little bit stringy like that. I don't know exactly how these grow, but it's doing just fine. It's alive, so that's all right, but it is really, really cute. It's like a fuzzy cactus. The spikes aren't very spiky at all. They're actually kind of friendly. But yeah, it's just chilling, living its life over here. Then up here she has this Hoya rotundiflora, which is doing well. Since she got it, it put out these 2 new leaves, but hers is definitely growing faster than mine has, so she's doing something right. But all of these windows definitely help. And then up here is basically the most beautiful string of hearts I've ever seen. She has it just trailing along the edge of this bookshelf, and it looks amazing. It's really, really long. take a while to pan down there. But yeah, it does touch the floor, and this is about, I'd say, 6 feet tall. So that is pretty impressive. Then over here, we actually got this for free at Terra. They were handing them out. I had to go purchase some clear pots, but yeah, they just gave this to me on my way out, which I thought was super kind. But it is really pretty, and it's nice to have around the holidays. I'm not sure that it will stick around all year round, but it's definitely a nice temporary plant at least. And she's got it in this really cute gold holiday-ish pot. Then over here, she has her beautiful caladium. This is actually one of her favorites too, but that's because she only keeps her favorite plants. She's not very, if she doesn't like a plant, she's not gonna keep it. But this is her caladium Hilo Beauty or Hilo Beauty. It's an absolutely stunning plant, and she's grown it really, really well. It's getting really tall, and it loves this spot in the corner near this window. But it's got some really nice, beautiful, large leaves and some smaller little baby plants in there too. And then over here in this darker area of the house, this is in the kitchen. The window is still right over there, but it's kind of blocked by the ovens there. So I'll take this down and show you, but this is her variegated Peperomia obtusifolia. It is really, really beautiful. I actually love the type of variegation that this one has. I find there are definitely some differences between the variegated obtusifolias, but this one has more of a yellow or green on green variegation. So the last area she keeps some of her plants is in this back room. This is where the cats eat, but it also has this same southern exposure, which is really nice. So here she has a really nice Scindapsus pictus argyrius. This one does need a little bit of water, but these guys are pretty drought tolerant, so it's doing just fine. I'll water this for her right after this video, but it's quite long. It was actually probably, I'd say close to 9 feet long, but it was getting really, really leggy. So she decided to cut it, and she gave the cuttings to my Nana, which I thought was really nice. So now they'll both have a piece of this plant. She also has this cactus here. We don't know the name of it, but that was actually one of her first plants. So we gotta keep it, right? Even though we have no idea what it is. And then here is her second Peperomia prostrata, or string of turtles, that's also doing really, really nicely for her. The older turtles there don't have as much definition, but the newer ones are coming in really nice and contrasty. Then she also has this beautiful Scindapsus pictus Silvery Ann that's trailing quite a bit, but she really does seem to have a knack for the Scindapsus, which I really don't. She's good at taking care of pothos, and wow, look how silvery that is. Yeah, she's really good at taking care of these guys, but I'm not, so it doesn't run in the family. And then she has this beautiful Marble Queen pothos, and it's trailing quite a bit. But this is a really beautiful one. She's had this for a really long time. This was one of her first plants also. And then last but not least, she has this neon pothos that is also doing really, really well. This one actually pretty much completely died, and it actually went outside to die, but she decided to give it a second chance, and she brought it indoors, and it's completely fine again. So I don't know how she did that, but good on her. All right, guys, well, that is going to be it for the tour. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!